age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
AM 560, The Answer. If we want to preserve our constitutional republic, we need an informed and educated citizenry. And that's what this show is all about. Find out what's really happening. It's time to stop the lies and learn the truth. This is The Real Story with your host, Jeannie Ives.
And welcome to The Real Story. It's Jeannie Ives here. Thank you for joining me this Sunday night. Our phone number here is 312-642-5600 if you want to weigh in on the conversation. If you have a question that I maybe can answer, or if you just want to comment, that's great. So we've got a full show tonight. And before we get there, though, I just want to tell you, in case I don't get to it, we have our border event. It's coming up on October 22nd. It's going to be terrific. We've got Rodney Scott, a head of the Border Patrol under both Biden and Trump. And we've got Sarah Carter, Fox News contributor. She's been really good on reporting about the illegal immigration going on. And then we have Victor Avila coming. They are all members of Border 911. They're coming in to just basically talk about what's happening at the border with illegal immigration. And that ties into my story that I'm going to get to in just a few minutes. But we know how bad it is. We know that it's everywhere. People are suffering from it. And in fact, President Trump, on with Maria Bartiromo this morning, essentially said that for sure, he thinks that actually the border might be a bigger issue in this election coming up than even the economy. So I mean, it is a huge issue. And in just a few moments, I'm going to have my brother-in-law, Dave Ives, come in. He's going to be calling in from Australia. And he's going to tell you his story about dealing with the immigration services. And I got to tell you, it's a disaster. I talk about incompetence. I think that is probably the word that sums up the Biden-Harris administration more than any other: incompetence. It doesn't seem that they can get anything right. Certainly didn't get the economy right. Certainly didn't get the border right. Haven't handled national security affairs well at all. Have botched the hurricane recovery efforts as well. I mean, there's absolutely nothing that they can get right. But we have a good show for you tonight, because after we talk with my brother-in-law, Dave, we're going to be talking to Steve Goreham. Of course, he is my expert when it comes to energy and the environment and climate hysteria. And he's going to debunk the myth that actually we have more and bigger and more destructive hurricanes now than we have in the past. So hold on, because we actually... You know, you've got the AP out there and all sorts of other news agencies saying, hey, this man-made climate change is what has caused these horrific hurricanes and their devastation. Not true. And so we have Steve Goreham coming in to talk about that. Also coming up, we will have a couple ladies from the western suburbs, and they got a flock note, which is the Catholic version of an email to their constituents. They got what they call a flock note. And wait till they talk to us about what's in that flock note. But essentially, it is a checklist about how to do this sort of like, you know, examination of your conscience, like you would before you're going in for confession. Examine your conscience and what we stand for as Catholics before you go into the voting booth. And the leading questions on this checklist are just appalling. If you're a Trump supporter, they lead one to think, and apparently the Catholic Church is thinking that Kamala is a better choice for Catholics. Totally disagree with that. So we're going to be talking to them about that. You'll want to stay tuned for the 8 o'clock hour. because that's when I have Dr. Haim coming in. He is the Texas surgeon who was the whistleblower when it came to transgender medical procedures on minors. And he blew the whistle after the legislature had said, completely outlawed in the state of Texas, you are not to do hormonal therapy, you're not to do surgical procedures, none of it. We're going nowhere with minors and transgenders. Well, of course, Biden's DOJ went after him, not the local officials, not the state officials. Biden's DOJ came down with their heavy hand, and of course, confronted him at his door in the same nefarious way that we've seen him confront other people. And we're going to hear his story and talk to him more about that. And then, of course, we'll finish up with the Edgar County Watchdogs as well. They'll be here to talk about more. And then I want to talk about my own local school district's shameful school district referendum and the lies that they're spewing. If you didn't catch my Facebook Live on that, fact-checking the CUSD 200 referendum, you can go to my Facebook and you can find that live. It's about 22 minutes long, and I pretty much lay out all the arguments right there. But right now, speaking of legal immigration, Trump did speak about legal immigration just this morning on Maria Bartiromo's Sunday Morning Future show. Take a listen.
Do you have a message for the people who are trying to come to America legally and they're still waiting?
It's so sad. It's so sad. You have people that have been waiting for 11 and 12 years, and then you have other people that just walk through and everybody wants to give them amnesty. But the bigger problem is this: so many of those people are criminals. We're a laughingstock all over the world. They are opening up their jails, and they're opening up, they're taking MS-13s off the street. I took them out by the thousands. ICE. We love ICE. I love ICE. They fight. They know how to fight. They like to fight. But they love our country. And you put them into what they call a rat pack of MS-13, probably the worst gangs in the world. They use knives because it hurts people more. You put them into that, and it's a rough deal.
But there are people who are coming here legally, and they're waiting for years to get their citizenship. So do you have a message for those people?
Yeah, stay there, because we want people to come in. Just so you understand, I want people to come in, but they have to come in legally. That's going to be stepped up. We need more people, especially when these companies are coming in. We're going to have companies. But they have to come in with love for the country, and they have to come in with some competence.
Yes, we want legal immigration. And Trump's perspective is he's talking about people that have applied for legal immigration. They come from another country. They are not connected to any other citizen here at all, but they want to come and they want to be part of America. Well, look, there's people that are actual U.S. citizens who have family members who are being barred from the country and barred for years. And that's the story of my brother-in-law, Dave Ives, and my sister-in-law, Mariette Ives. And so Dave joins us now from Australia to talk more about what's going on and legal immigration and the broken immigration system in the United States. Dave, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Jeannie. I'm right here in Alice Springs, Australia, listening in.
Wow, what a clear connection. This is awesome. This is so great. So David, you just wrote a book called Lockdown Australia, Pandemic of Madness. And I love your preface because you say it's not a medical advice book. It's not a reference book. It's a story, my story, the story of what I experienced during the so-called pandemic from early 2020 when the politicians closed the Northern Territory border until August 2022 when my wife and I left Australia to live for a year in Mexico. I'll consider this book a success if by reading it, others are encouraged to write their COVID stories. We need to hear the stories, all of them. It's through our stories that we create a rising tide of truth that will drown out the lies. I couldn't agree more. People need to not forget what happened during COVID, not forget what the authorities did to them. But unfortunately, David, it feels like you're still being punished for simply wanting to leave Australia because they became an authoritarian state with no freedoms during COVID. So could you bring my listeners up to speed a little bit? They are familiar with your story. You've been on my show before. I've written about it in my newsletter. But tell us essentially, what happened and where you are with it right now.
Yeah, what happened was it's pretty basic. With the COVID madness going on, and our family, myself, my daughters, and my wife, refused to join the state religion and become COVIDians, branch COVIDians, and get the jab. So consequently, in Australia, if you wouldn't get the jab, you were sort of outside of society. No job, no leaving the house. As a matter of fact, there were two specific they called them lockouts, I think they were, and they were only for the unvaccinated. And they were 7 days at a time. And the second 7-day lockout, I told my daughters, I said, hey, girls, you don't have to put up with this. You have U.S. passports, you're U.S. citizens. You can go back to the USA and live in one of our properties in Florida. So they left. And then I said, your mom and I will be there in a jiffy because we just got to get Mom's green card renewed. And we had that conversation almost 3 years ago. And that leads into the immigration situation, which it's a 3-year process. I mean, I don't think we have enough time to go into the details on your radio program, but if there's anything in specific you want to know about it, let me know.
Well, no, I mean, but you wrote, and also I wrote it as well, but basically Marietta's green card expired in 2003 because you had stayed in Australia too long working for a U.S. defense contractor. And you have to renew that green card annually, and generally that requires U.S. residents. Well, you weren't there. You were working for a defense contractor in Australia. And so you said essentially, look, we only need a tourist visa right now to return to the U.S. for short visits. And, when the time comes to return permanently to the United States, we'll just get it renewed. I mean, after all, and I've written this before and my audience should know this, but you and Marietta together have filed over 30 years of U.S. federal tax returns as a married couple. You own properties, plural, in the United States. You have U.S.-born children, and you're a veteran. I mean, it should have been a no-brainer for you to get a new green card for Marietta since she already previously had a green card. And now you're looking at going on 3 years since your first application in March of 2022. This is insane.
Yeah, it is. That was a good way that you explained it, because essentially, to be a green card holder in the United States, this is the ideal setup. You live in the USA and you renew it every year. That's the ideal setup. Well, we didn't live in the USA. We were over here in Australia. I was working for a defense contractor, and essentially that, it's hard to keep your green card if you're not living in the USA. I mean, I think that's fair to say that. So anyway, the card expired in 2003, and we didn't really worry about it, thinking, well, when we decide to go back to the USA, we'll just get it renewed. How hard could it be? Be a no-brainer, like you said, a no-brainer. But essentially what happened is we start all over again, and now it's from the get-go, as if she never had a green card. And what I found with illegal immigration, and I wrote an article about this, it's on my Substack, and it's called The Truth About U.S. Immigration. And I say it's an IQ test. It's an IQ test. If you apply to enter the U.S. legally, you flunk.
All right. Hey, Dave, we're going to take a short 2-minute break. We'll be right back to continue the conversation. Just stay on the line.
The American military brings together brave men and women from across the country who have chosen to answer the call when their country needs them most. At aviatorfuel.com, we know the military because we live the military life. With books written by a Navy pilot and run by a hard-working military spouse, aviatorfuel.com is proud of our service and our country. That's why we never compromise on authenticity. Our cocktail books are modeled off the real Army, Navy, and Marine pilot checklists that military aviators have used for decades. But instead of a procedure on how to handle an engine fire, you'll find the procedure for how to make a mojito. From classic recipes to military specials like the Queen of Battle or the Afterburner, our cocktail books have something special for every veteran. So go to aviatorfuel.com and get ready to raise a glass to the brave men and women who serve our country. That's aviatorfuel.com.
After decades of treasured experiences and cherished moments, you want to feel the best that you can. Whether it's cheering on your grandchildren at their baseball games, planting new flowers in your yard, or simply spending quality time with loved ones. take Balance of Nature's fruits and veggie supplements along with you. Made from whole fruits and vegetable ingredients, they are free from added fillers or preservatives. Embrace life's adventures with confidence, knowing you're getting more variety of fruit and vegetable ingredients every step of the way. Start your journey with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
We now return to the real story. Here's your host, Jeannie Ives.
And welcome back. Still on the line is my brother-in-law calling in from Alice Springs, Australia to talk to us about this debacle, this fiasco with the U.S. Immigration Services. I mean, here they are, been paying property taxes, paying federal income taxes for 30 years plus. U.S.-born children, Dave's a veteran, and they can't get Marietta a green card when she had one previously simply because they were working and living over in Australia at the same time. Now, the worst thing is it's not even over. This is what's even more disgusting to me, Dave. And okay, at the same time, about the same time that you put in your initial application to come to get a new green card for Marietta, so she could come in legally. You wanted to come in legally. Right. At the same time that you put in that application, Brittany Griner, the basketball star, got arrested in Russia on drug charges and was put in prison. 10 months later, Brittany Griner is out on a prisoner exchange that the U.S. facilitated. 10 months later. And now we're at almost 3 years, and you can't get your wife over here, and she's done nothing wrong. Nothing. On top of that, they've gone to the point where they're saying she had to get clearances from every country that she lived in, that she was not a criminal. But at the same time, we've let hundreds of thousands of terrorists and criminals collectively come into our country over years now. And under the Biden administration, easily 100,000. And your wife has to get documentation from countries she lived in that she's not a criminal. I can't believe it.
We had to get police clearance records from the UK, where I served with a U.S. government contractor, defense government over there on behalf of the United States. And I had a top secret clearance, so my wife had to be vetted to go there. I mean, it's ridiculous. But what you're seeing here, though, she had to get a police clearance from the UK, from Mexico. We lived in Mexico for a year to be nearer to the girls. And we figured, 1 year in Mexico, we're not going to be there a year. We'll have the green card before that. Well, when a year came up and we were nowhere closer to getting the green card, we thought, well, what do we do now? And we decided we'd go back to Australia, where things had calmed down, from the COVID times. And I have work to do here. I have a business and things to get done. So it's actually better for us to wait in Australia to get the green card. But the system for the green card, the legal immigration system, is a one-size-fits-all. And there's your problem. So when Donald Trump was talking about waiting 11 years to get in, well, I guess maybe that's where we're headed. But I think my wife and I are reaching the point now where we understand that when you apply for a green card, the answer could be no.
I mean, this is crazy, though. This is
We're
absolutely
starting to face
crazy.
the fact that they could say, no, you're not coming in, stay away. You can keep paying taxes, though, on your worldwide income. You can do that, but don't you dare come in the country. Don't you come and live here with your daughters in your own home. I hope you can tell I'm a bit frustrated with this.
Well, no, I'm frustrated with it. I just find it insane. And by the way, you contacted your local congressman. He was no help. I contacted a senator and a congressman on behalf of you. They couldn't do anything. Nobody can break through this bureaucratic red tape and say, welcome in. I mean, we want competent. You're not even going to be a public charge, for heaven's sakes. And they won't let you in. Instead, I mean, if Marietta had just used the CBP One app for schedule entry, she would have been in within weeks, right? If she had been selected.
I don't know anything about that.
Well, I mean, that's what the illegals use. They get on the border. They put that app on their phone, the CBP1 app, and they get a scheduled day of entry at a particular border station along the U.S. Mexican border, and they just get asylum and they come right in. Okay, they just come out right in.
Would you send me the app and I'll fill it out?
Yeah, I think you should do next, honestly. I mean, and she wasn't selected for a free ride on a chartered plane to the city of her choice by the Biden administration. He flew in 350,000 people that way. Literally, they applied to have a charter flight pick them up in their godforsaken country.
How do we get on one of them planes?
I don't know. And you didn't just simply
well,
cross.
If you can find that out, Jeannie, let me know.
I know. This is the absurdity of it. I mean, it's, people could laugh at this, but I don't find it laughable. I find it pathetic. Now, the latest thing is, and you can maybe tell my audience a little bit more of that, the latest snafu for her is that she didn't get the jab. She didn't get the COVID jab.
Right.
And so now they're saying she has to go through a whole vaccine waiver process. And
that's correct.
And you wrote to me, you said basically mere mortals can't figure out the entire paperwork. You had to hire a lawyer in California to help you with the paperwork. And now they're telling you it could be another 28 months.
28 months for a decision, yes. Here's what it says on the United States immigration website. It says, we process 80% of our cases within 28 months. Whatever that means. I mean, is that hysterical? It's like they're bragging. Look how fast we are, But let me get back to the situation. I mean, the reason that we were leaving Australia is that we didn't want to get the jab.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So now what happened was we had an interview in Sydney for the green card. You have to have an interview, which we have already had back in 1991 when Marietta got a green card. We already had the interview. But anyway, we went to the interview earlier this year, and it was February 13th in Sydney, and the guy behind the bulletproof glass with his Burger King microphone, he says, well, I can see that you didn't get the vaccines. And it's a whole list. It's not just the COVID jabs. It's a whole list of vaccines, I think 7 or 8 of them, plus the COVID jabs. And you must get all of them. You must either have had them or get them. And, of course, Marietta refused. That was the whole reason we were going to the USA, to get away from all this forcing people to take, medicine. We're getting away from that. Mm-hmm. So Marietta refused, and the guy says, well, since you refused the vaccines, your application is automatically rejected. So after 2.5 years of applying, we got rejected in Sydney. And I told you this before, but by being rejected, Marietta now has to put on any visa form that she fills out, which it used to be a snap to go to the United States for 90 days at a time, easy. There's a question on it that says, have you ever been denied a U.S. visa? She's going to have to check the yes box now.
Simply because she wouldn't get vaccinated the way that the U.S. government wants her to.
No, well, simply because she was denied her green card visa, which in a roundabout way is because she wouldn't take the vaccine. Yes. But if you're denied for any reason, you have to tick that box. So she now has to tick the yes box. So, what does that mean for her entering the U.S.? It can't be good, right?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I honestly think you should try the CBP1 app. I honestly think you should. Like, what the hell?
Okay, well, you send it to me.
Playing for the fools that they are. I don't know, just go to your Play Store and download the CBP1 app and see what it says when you can enter. And, I don't know, across from El Paso or wherever else, Eagle Pass, Texas. I don't know. I mean, this is
we lived
absurd.
in Mexico for a year. We didn't, and people were telling us, why don't you just go to the border and just go in? Well, we used to visit the U.S., though. When we were in Mexico, we visited the U.S., all the time with the girls. Mm-hmm. But at that time, we hadn't been denied the green card. Now, Marietta has been denied the green card. And, just continuing on with that, they said, but you can apply for a waiver. And we'll send you an email to tell you how to do that. And then they sent me the email. I looked at it and went, holy moly. And that's when I called this law firm out of Sacramento that claims that this is what they do for a living. They're experts at it. And so I hired them. I said, "Can you guys help me fill out this paperwork?" I said, "Oh yeah, that's what we do." So
oh my gosh, I'm so angry about it,
finally
Dave.
we filled it out.
Dave, I only got
we finally filled it out.
Yeah.
$5,000 later, plus $1,050 application fee to the United States immigration folks for them to put a set of eyeballs on it.
Well, we could solve half of the budget deficit if we charged every illegal who entered, the 10 million, 15 million who entered in the last 3 years, $1,000. I mean, that'd go a little bit of the ways. I mean, David, this whole thing is absurd. I've got a hard break now. Thank you so much for coming on. God bless you and Marietta. And we're going to do everything possible I'm going to raise holy hell with every person I know in Congress to get this solved ASAP. Thanks so much for joining me on The Real Story. We'll be right back.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Fox News, I'm Ann Carrick. Van Miller arrested on his way to Saturday's Trump rally in Coachella, California, moments before the event began, with a shotgun, loaded gun, and high-capacity magazine.
The deputy eventually found multiple passports with multiple names, multiple driver's license with different names. The vehicle was unregistered, and the license plate was what we in law enforcement would recognize as one that is homemade.
Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco. Hezbollah claiming responsibility for a deadly drone strike in Israel. Fox's Greg Palcott.
Was not intercepted. People were injured, some critically or seriously. This after this area has seen another wave of Hezbollah rockets all day.
4 IDF soldiers are dead, 7 injured. America's listening to Fox News.
Position, software engineer. Job duties, research, design, and develop computer and network software or specialized utility programs. Analyze user needs and develop software solutions, applying principles and techniques of computer science, engineering, and mathematical analysis. Create detailed design of new and continuing automation projects, including database design, application design, and inter-process control, and user interface design. Develop software for new and continuing automation projects, including creation and modification of low-level device control code, process and business rule logic, host interface programming, and user interface programming. Work within high-level systems designs created by others. Install and test automation software, update software, or enhance existing software capabilities. May work with computer hardware engineers to integrate hardware and software systems and develop specifications and performance requirements. Provide technical support for automation projects, including those engineered by others. May maintain databases within an application area, working individually or coordinating database development as part of a team. Requires a master's degree in computer science or mathematics or related/equivalent required. Certifications: Oracle Learning Explorer, Java, AWS, Going Cloud Native, Agile Software Development or related/equivalent. Must have knowledge of Java, C, JavaScript, and SQL or related/equivalent. Numina Group Incorporated, job location 10331 Wirtz Drive, Woodridge, Illinois 60517. Please send resumes to Christy Baranowski, CFO, CBARANOWSKI at numinagroup.com.
Wealth Health Radio. The biggest fears that people have is, do I have enough money to retire?
Retirement doesn't have to be complicated.
To make sure that you're going through retirement with confidence.
Learn principles of income planning.
There's a lot of different facets that you need to take into consideration when you're retiring.
Tune into Wealth Health Radio with Joe Murphy, noon to 1 p.m. Sundays on AM 560, The Answer.
I'm worried about Mom. She's having a tough time moving around the house.
Oh, I know. She still thinks she can do everything on her own.
Exactly, but I've been over there every day this week, helping her navigate the stairs, cooking meals, reminding her to take her medicine. I'm always nervous when I leave.
You know what? I admire you for taking care of Mom. But your family needs you too. And what if she slips and falls? A friend recommended the caregivers at Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. They service Cook, DuPage, Kane, and Will counties. They guarantee compatibility and they'll conduct a free safety assessment of her home. Plus, they'll provide as little or as much care as Mom needs.
Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest, offering both hourly and live-in care. Schedule a free assessment today by calling 331-281-0728. That's 331-281-0728. Again, that's 331-281-0728. And tell them AM 560 sent you. Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Senior care, only better.
Your local State Farm agent Anthony DeGrotto combines good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates. You can combine your home, auto, and life insurance to not only save you money, but give you the peace of mind you've been looking for. Anthony DeGrotto is your go-to agent in Chicagoland. He and his team will work for you to provide the best service you expect at the price you want. Combine your home, auto, and life insurance today. Anthony DeGrotto will help you mix and match things perfectly. His State Farm office is a top pick 2024 Daily Herald Reader's Choice Award winner. He's a proud supporter of Tunnel to Towers and like-minded as you. His State Farm agency is currently looking to add members at their Roselle office. Call Anthony at 847-895-1500 today or visit DeGrottoSF.com. That's DeGrottoSF.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
The Real Story with Jeannie Ives continues on AM 560. The Answer.
All right, welcome back. Hey, just a little follow-up. You did hear from my brother-in-law who's in Australia. The book that he wrote is called Lockdown Australia, Pandemic of Madness. You can get it online at Amazon. I think it's just in a Kindle version, and it costs like $4.99. It's really worth reading. But Lockdown Australia, Pandemic of Madness. It's very conversational, really well written. I think, like he said, we all need to tell those stories. Well, you knew it was coming. Of course you knew it was coming. AP News. Climate change gave significant boost to Milton's destructive rain winds, scientists say. That's the headline from the AP News. The opening paragraphs. Human-caused climate change intensified deadly Hurricane Milton's rainfall by 20 to 30% and strengthened its winds by about 10%, scientists said in a new flash study. The analysis comes just 2 weeks after Hurricane Helene devastated the southeastern United States, a storm also fueled by climate change. World Weather Attribution, that's actually the title of some sort of organization. World Weather Attribution researchers said Friday that without climate change, a hurricane like Milton would make landfall as a weaker Category 2, not considered a major storm instead of a Category 3. WWA's rapid studies aren't peer-reviewed, no kidding, but use peer-reviewed methods. The WWA compares a weather event with what might have been expected in a world that hasn't warmed about 1.3 degrees Celsius since pre-industrial times. Well, we just knew it was coming, so I had to have my expert on, Steve Goreham. Steve Goreham's the executive director of the Climate Science Coalition of America and the author of 4 books on energy, climate change, sustainable development, and public policy with over 100,000 copies in print. His latest book, Green Breakdown, The Coming Renewable Energy Failure, was again #1 this month in Amazon's energy policy category. So, Steve, tell me, is anything of what they said in that AP article true?
Well, it's hi, Jeannie. Great to join you again. It's based on modern superstition. Really, it has been a big hurricane year. We've had actually 5 hurricanes that have come ashore in the United States this year, and that's a very big year. Typically, we average about 1.5 right now that come ashore. 3 of those have hit Florida. Hurricane Debbie a few months ago, and then Helene, and then Milton. But, this really isn't abnormal in history. It is remarkable how many hurricanes we do have that come ashore. I spent a little time looking at the NOAA site. Your listeners can go to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. They have a list of every hurricane that has come ashore in the U.S. since 1851. And Florida has actually been hit by 187 hurricanes in the last 170 years. They get a little more than one a year. There have been 26 years when they've had 3 or more hurricanes hit Florida, and that's what's happened this year. And we've had some really big years. We had 1926, 7 hurricanes came ashore in Florida, all in 1 year. One was a Category 4, stronger than Hurricane Milton. 2 were Category 3s, about the same as Milton. Then you had a Category 2 and 3 Category 1s.
Wow.
In 1935, they had 2 Category 5s hit Florida in a single year. And they had 5 hurricanes that year that came ashore. And these were all long before any sort of human emissions. If you look at human greenhouse gas emissions, there was basically nothing before 1950 in comparison to what that is emitted now. So all of these things were what nature can do, and none of them really, it's a very, very weak case that your neighbor's SUV is causing all these hurricanes.
Okay, so what about the flooding in North Carolina from Hurricane Helene? Is this abnormal and caused by global warming or not?
Really is really a terrible disaster up there. I guess the French Broad River, which is one when I used to kayak that I had paddled, had flooded over, and all these places washed away. Just a disaster in Asheville and other places. But this is, again, some of this happened in the past. There was a great flood of Asheville in 1916. And if you look at the pictures, they're very similar to what has happened now. There was an article that was published recently in USA Today that talked about that flooding in 1916, which is similar to what they had today, recently, not today, but recently with Hurricane Helene. This one wasn't caused by a hurricane in the past. It was just weather and history. But again, another example. It's sort of natural for people to believe that something abnormal is happening because in their experience, they've never had a flood this big or they've never had these hurricanes. But if you go back 70, 80, 90, 100 years, you see that these things have happened before, long before we were all driving vehicles and flying around the world in aircraft.
Well, I have a little problem with all of the media, though, around this. I mean, they could easily, you actually prepped me for this interview, which is great. I love it because you actually sent me the USA Today story about the Asheville, North Carolina flood of 1916. I mean, the media should be able to do their research, too. What's wrong with them?
It's, again, they have a bias as well. It's severe weather events are big news, and now we're naming heat waves, and we're naming derechos, and they never used to even talk about hurricanes that were out in the Atlantic and never got close to the coast, but now they count all those as well. So there's this tremendous, the media has this interest to, you get the weatherman on there every night showing how horrible all these things are, and it gets a lot more viewers. So it's unfortunate, but it's unfortunately, our state and federal governments are taking a lot of measures to try and think they can stop the planet from warming, and that's another thing that can't be done. It's part of the modern superstition, the modern ideology of climatism.
So your new book, we're headed for a green breakdown. Where do you see evidence for that? Because you don't see it in Illinois, because all you get is Governor Pritzker investing more and more into green energy, snafus. So where do you see the evidence that the green breakdown is going to come?
There's many, many examples. Europe is pulling back from green energy. They've reversed policies. They wanted to ban all gas appliances in new construction in England and Netherlands and Germany, but the citizens have pushed back, and so they've removed those bans now. They were telling farmers to cull their dairy herds and stop using synthetic nitrogen fertilizer, and now the farmers went and revolted and drove their tractors into cities and have forced the governments to pull back. We also have, and we could talk about this another time, but the renewable energy stocks are terrible investments. They've been going down, with the exception of Tesla, who's done very, very well. Everybody else is doing very poorly. Rivian's
stock price took a dive. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Rivian's down like 96% from initial public offering. I mean, all these things are very, very poor investments. And you know, that's an indication that this whole green effort is headed for a bad ending.
Well, it can't happen soon enough. So where can people get your new book? Because then we got to leave it there.
Yeah, they can go to my website, Steve Goreham, GOREHAM.com, and I'll send them a signed copy. By the way, they has great sidebars in these books, like the junior high teacher in Utah that was having her kids eat insects in class to teach them not to eat beef. But there's a lot of crazy things. They can get ebooks as well.
Well, I recommend that they all get a book and give it to their science teachers in their schools. That's what I recommend people do. Steve, thank you so much for joining me this Sunday night and dispelling the myths on a hurricane season and giving us a lot more information about it. Thank you so much. We'll be right back with the real story.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
77 years old. I have a tax office. I still do taxes every year. My clients are amazed. I feel so much younger. I love it. I love the product. I tell everybody about it. I feel better. I'm just doing really good.
Oh my goodness. I don't want to live without it. I am very happy and pleased. My mom went on this Balance of Nature probably 15 years ago. She just bragged on this product all the time.
Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com and get this special offer by using discount code
Chicago. Fall is here, and you're at work. That's okay. Now you can make work delicious and rake in the deals with delicious fall savings from EasyCater, the top site for ordering food for work from your team's favorite restaurants. Save up to $40 when you order from select restaurants exclusively on EasyCater.com. A great way to make your team and your food budget happy. Order now at EasyCater.com. Orders must be placed and received between October 7th and the 18th. Restrictions apply. See all for details.
Your pet isn't just a pet, they're part of your family. Most of the pet food on the market is cooked at high temperatures, which kills nutrients. A scoop of Dynavite is a 3-in-1 daily supplement, adding back key nutrients to your pup's health. Try Dynavite for free. Just pay shipping and handling. Learn more at dinovite.com/radio. That's Dynavite.com/radio.
Happier, healthier with every bite. Over 1 million pets helped with Dynavite.
If you own or run a business and you listen to AM 560, you might not realize that the conservative programming that you enjoy is supported by advertisers. Our loyal listeners love to do business with the advertisers they hear every day on AM 560. Now, it probably won't surprise you that there are some businesses who avoid advertising with us because they don't like what we do here. And that's okay, because our audience wants to support businesses that support what we do and think like we think. We would love to have you join the list of successful companies who are already reaching new, like-minded customers. Most AM 560 advertisers have been here for years for one simple reason: they get results. Join our efforts to make a difference in the lives of our listeners who are passionate about supporting our great family of AM 560 advertisers. To learn more, just visit 560theanswer.com/advertise. That's 560theanswer.com/advertise.
Now, more of The Real Story with your host, Jeannie Ives.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for joining me tonight on The Real Story. And our phone number here is 312-642-5600. And I've got two ladies that are going to be joining me on the line right now. Their names are Ellen and Mary. And they're going to talk to you a little bit about what they found from their own local Catholic church was sending this out. It was essentially a check your conscience before you vote type of guide. And in fact, the email that I'm reading from that they received from their parish, who will remain nameless, and I'm not going to use the ladies' last names either, but it says, it says, all caps, early voting has started. Now, I didn't know that they were, that the Catholic Church was one for, putting out voting information, but apparently they are. And it says, evaluate the candidates, pray for guidance, and cast your vote accordingly. The attached video and checklist review the virtues of being a responsible, faithful voting citizen. May this information help you prepare to vote in an upcoming election. And it has a video of a guy who is at the Bernardine Center as a backdrop at the Catholic Theological University. Okay, we're going to talk about that in a second. But then it had a checklist going forward, equally sacred checklist. How can we know we are voting for candidates who promote the common good? Oh, freedom to be healthy. Will your candidate protect and expand affordable health care for all and end the injustice of medical debt? Will they support policies to reduce the cost of prescription medicine so patients can afford life-saving care? Will they support ending the Black maternal health crisis by investing in the expansion of critical programs? La, 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 la. Freedom to live on a healthy planet. Will they address the climate crisis and invest in rapid, just transition to renewable energy? Like, what the hell? This is put out by a Catholic parish? Come on. Anyway, Mary and Ellen, thanks for joining me on The Real Story tonight. I mean, I guess that this checklist has been out there before. I never heard about it or saw it. I'm just appalled. As somebody who is very much informed about public policy and pays attention to public policy, this checklist screams vote for a Democrat, and it screams indoctrination, and it screams, honestly, BS. Mary
yes,
or Ellen?
Thank you for having us. Thank you. Thank you. You did very well with that. I think the checklist speaks for itself.
Yes, and so Ellen, I believe you did receive this as a flock note. Were you shocked or when you opened up this email from your parish and you saw they were spewing this?
Yes, I was. I was very upset about it. And in fact, I reached out to fellow parishioners and asked them if they had received the same. Now, not many of them had that I spoke to, but a few did. And then we saw what's going on. Maybe it's still coming. Maybe I don't understand why just a few of us got it, but we did get it. And we've been talking about it and talking about what we need to do and sharing, everyone's unique, or not unique, but how upset we were about it.
And we do think that maybe some people were left off the list within our circle. And so we think that some people were intentionally left off it because it is a flock note that does go out to the parish.
Oh, well, I mean, so that's kind of weird, too, that they would be, parsing their list and deciding who gets it and who doesn't. What do you think that's about?
We don't know. That's speculation, but there's a group of us that are very pro-life and also very much going to the Catholic faith. And we do speak out just in our inner circle, and we don't know if maybe that's why we weren't included on the list. It's speculation on our part, though.
And for me, I do have a reputation of being pro-life. And we're in a western suburb area, and other churches where we've raised our children, and we've been at other churches in the Catholic community and working for pro-life. So we both, Mary and I both, we scream respect life ministry. So I don't know why I was chosen and she wasn't, but we're very involved. Very involved.
Well, I hope you take this a little bit further. I mean, this is really awful stuff. I mean, the checklist also says freedom to live in a welcoming country that values dignity and human rights. Will your candidate support the right to asylum and paths to citizenship and prioritize integration? Will they promote inclusive policies to support border communities rather than militarization? I mean, here's another one, freedom from harm. Will they protect the rights of marginalized communities, including Black, Brown, Indigenous, as well as LGBTQ+?
And that's already protected under the Constitution, so the implication is that one party is not going to support that.
This is just insane. This is insane.
Yes,
they obviously picked up something from networkadvocates.org, and I didn't notice it until now, so I haven't looked into it. But they just picked up basically some Democrat talking point lists to try and shame Catholics into voting for Kamala. I'm so appalled. I mean, I know where the flock note came from. I might just be talking to that priest myself. I think I'm just going to schedule an appointment with him.
Well, they don't list anything with, protecting religious freedoms, protecting children in any way. So everything which the Catholic does have a stance on, the Catholic Church does. So it's really a certain party's stance on something, not the Catholic views.
Well, it's not. That is so true. And I did share this with some other folks, and one of them was Mary Holland Fiorito. She is an ethics and public policy person for under Cardinal George, and she, this came out, the consistent ethic of life gets misused. And Cardinal Bernardine's concept, of having an ethic life didn't downplay abortion, which what they're trying to do. Just in the opening paragraph here, it says that as the 2020 U.S. presidential election draws near, a portion of Democratic candidate Joe Biden's outreach to religious voters is drawing from the seamless garment or the consistent ethic of life argument. The argument asserts that the pro-life view extends beyond abortion to a range of issues such as poverty alleviation and immigration that are and all. I mean, okay, great, but it doesn't mean that we're going to have open borders, that we're going to support the LGBTQ community, that we're going to pretend that there's a climate crisis and get rid of fossil fuels. None of that. Does it? I'm just shocked.
It is shocking.
So what's your next step?
Very shocking.
What's your next step then, ladies?
Oh my. Okay, so we were talking about this quite a bit, and we were reaching out to our community. We're going to gather as a group and discuss what is our next step. My first reaction was to immediately call the parish office, and nobody picked up. So I thought maybe, okay, I have a few days to think about this, how I'm going to attend to this, and who is this really from? And so this just happened.
All right.
It literally just happened.
I've got to go to a break. I want to thank you so much for joining me on The Real Story and sharing this story with everybody. And hey, guess what? Catholics, beware of what your priests are sending out. We'll be right back.
Quick delivery service. What do you need delivered today?
Hi, I'm trying to work through a last-minute to-do list for my boss. Can you deliver a hard drive to the Loop in Chicago?
We can deliver that today.
Okay, can you deliver 20 boxes to a client in Rockford?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver 12 pallets of tile to our customer in Naperville?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver a large envelope to Northbrook?
We can deliver that today.
Oh my gosh, I think my water just broke. Can you...
We cannot deliver that.
Quick Delivery Service delivers your package no matter the size. More than just a messenger service, Quick Delivery Service is a messenger and trucking service that can also provide scheduled routes for your daily delivery or your air shipment. Trucks are equipped to handle the load and provide ground-level service for same-day delivery. The Quick Delivery Service team of safe, licensed professionals can provide quick door-to-door service for your special delivery. QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. We deliver that today. But we don't deliver this.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gave Alice, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
We now return to The Real Story. Here's your host, Jeannie Ives.
All right. I don't have much time in this segment. Basically, just want to let you know you need to hold on the line because we have Dr. Haim coming on to the program. Of course, he is the Texas surgeon, the whistleblower who blew the whistle that the Texas hospitals were still performing transgender surgeries on minors and hormonal treatments. It's despicable. It's disgusting. And we're going to get his impression of why the medical community is even allowing this to happen. So we'll be right back with the real story. Do not change the dial. Again, this is Jeannie Ives. Thanks for joining me tonight.
Attention parents, your child may be eligible for extra food benefits this summer thanks to a new program. The Summer EBT program will provide $120 per eligible child for families to buy groceries when school is out. These benefits are in addition to free summer meals available at schools, camps, and parks. To learn more about Summer EBT and if your child qualifies, please visit WeGotYouIllinois.org. Sponsored by the Illinois Commission to End Hunger, aired in cooperation with this station and the Illinois Broadcasters Association.
Hi, this is Carl Amari.
I'm Lisa Wolf. Join us every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. for all things entertainment on Hollywood 360.
If you love classic radio shows, The Shadow, Jack Benny, The Lone Ranger, Dragnet, Gunsmoke, and many more, we have them for you on Hollywood 360.
We'll also present trivia contests with prizes, showbiz news, celebrity interviews, games, and movie reviews.
So don't miss Hollywood 360 every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
News, opinion, insight. This is AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app or tell your smart speaker to play The Answer Chicago.
A possible third assassination attempt against former President Trump may have been averted. I'm Ann Carrick, Fox News. A man was arrested outside Trump's rally in Southern California last night. Police say multiple guns were found in his possession, illegal. Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco explains why the vehicle was searched outside a second perimeter.
The vehicle had an obviously fake license plate, and that prompted further investigation from our deputy into why the person was there and what he was doing.
49-year-old Vem Miller of Las Vegas was arrested just 1 minute before that rally was to start. Police say Miller was found to be in illegal possession of a shotgun, a loaded handgun, and a high-capacity magazine. The sheriff's office also said the incident had no impact on the safety of rally attendees nor former President Trump. In Greenville, North Carolina, Vice President Kamala Harris talking about Hurricane Helene relief efforts.
I have spoken to both state and local officials, both Republican and Democrat, to let them know we will be with you every step of the way as you recover. Because in times like this, we stand together as one nation.
More than 230 people have died as a result of Helene after it made landfall as a tropical storm. Former President Trump has criticized the Biden-Harris response to hurricanes recently, saying it was too slow and poorly managed. President Biden touring the damage in Florida today, many areas hit by both hurricanes Helene and Milton.
Today, I'm proud to announce $612 million to 6 new cutting-edge projects to support communities impacted by Hurricane Helene and Milton.
Governor DeSantis has been working with President Biden on hurricane relief. America's listening to Fox News.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Tonight, partly cloudy and windy with a couple of late-night showers, low 46. Tomorrow, breezy with periods of clouds and sunshine, a brief shower or two in the afternoon, high 57. A moonlit sky tomorrow night and breezy with a couple of showers, low 43. Tuesday, clouds and breaks of sun, breezy with showers and a high of 51. A moonlit sky Tuesday night and chilly, low 38. I'm Jillian Ford on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
The American military brings together brave men and women from across the country who have chosen to answer the call when their country needs them most. At aviatorfuel.com, we know the military because we live the military life. With books written by a Navy pilot and run by a hard-working military spouse, aviatorfuel.com is proud of our service and our country. That's why we never compromise on authenticity. Our cocktail books are modeled off the real Army, Navy, and Marine pilot checklists that military aviators have used for decades. But instead of a procedure on how to handle an engine fire, you'll find the procedure for how to make a mojito. From classic recipes to military specials like the Queen of Battle or the Afterburner, our cocktail books have something special for every veteran. So go to aviatorfuel.com and get ready to raise a glass to the brave men and women who serve our country. That's aviatorfuel.com.
If you own or run a business and you listen to AM 560, you might not realize that the conservative programming that you enjoy is supported by advertisers. Our loyal listeners love to do business with the advertisers they hear every day on AM 560. Now, it probably won't surprise you that there are some businesses who avoid advertising with us because they don't like what we do here. And that's okay, because our audience wants to support businesses that support what we do and think like we think. We would love to have you join the list of successful companies who are already reaching new, like-minded customers. Most AM 560 advertisers have been here for years for one simple reason: they get results. Join our efforts to make a difference in the lives of our listeners who are passionate about supporting our great family of AM 560 advertisers. To learn more, just visit 560theanswer.com/advertise. That's 560theanswer.com/advertise.
Protecting and growing your retirement assets can be complicated. From asset and legacy protection to retirement income and extended care, you need a plan. Mark Kohler, host of Retirement and Income Radio, heard Sundays at 11 a.m., helps retirees in or near retirement protect their accounts from market volatility. Mark can help you create lifetime guaranteed, inflation-hedged income. Call Mark today at 844-619-SAFE. That's 844-619-7233. And listen this Sunday at 11 a.m. to Retirement and Income Radio.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
AM 560, The Answer. The real story with Jeannie Ives continues on AM 560, The Answer.
All right, welcome back. Hey, before we get to my next guest, I'm just going to very quickly take this call from Juanita in response to the Catholic Voting Guide. Juanita, welcome to the program. Thanks for joining me.
Jeannie, I was just listening and furious.
You're furious? Mm-hmm.
Yes. Look to the church for scripture. Further their walk with God. They are not looking to the church. Should the church be giving them any guidance on how to vote? I've seen the email that went out. Clearly Democratic talking points. And I'm at a loss for words.
Yeah.
You're asking you to vote your conscience. Let's tell you what your conscience should tell you.
That's what they were doing. Absolutely.
They have absolutely ensuring that the wealthy pay their fair share of taxes.
Yeah. Well, hey, we all got to fight this one, Juanita. I'm right there with you. We'll get together and we'll figure out how to respond as a group. I've got to move on right now, but thank you so much for calling in. And we're just going to transition right away into my next guest. I got to tell you, there was a little bit of a Pew Research poll that was done recently, and it talked about public confidence in scientists and medical scientists, and it's declined over the last year. Oh, really? No surprise there. Really, I guess I'm not surprised at all. That's right. It's down to only about 29% that have, a great deal of confidence in medical scientists. Only 29% have a great deal of confidence in scientists overall. The military's down too. Only 25% have a great deal of confidence. Of course, the numbers are a little bit higher when you look at a fair amount. 78% have a fair amount of confidence in medical scientists. Obviously, this study was done in 2022. That's just post-COVID. But I got to believe that part of that is because you've got the medical establishment weighing in on the whole, actually participating in transgender issues, believing that you can change your sex. I don't believe it. I think most people don't believe it. And a group called Stop the Harm Database, they don't believe it. And, maybe they should listen more to people like Chloe Cole, because she'll tell you exactly where to put the blame. Take a listen. This is from my interview with Chloe back just a couple months ago. On the phone with me is Chloe Cole, and she's been telling us her heartbreaking story about going through a full medical transition, female to male, and then now detransitioning from that. And we were at the point in the story, and Chloe, I just got to tell you, so the psychologists were the instigators of probably most of the fraud here, but the medical doctors went along with it. The surgeons went along with it. The people who are supposed to do no harm went along with it all.
Right. I didn't really have a doctor who didn't at least affirm this identity that I had, this idea that I had that I was made wrong and that I had to change fundamental parts of myself and change parts of my body in order to pursue my true identity that I thought was that of a young man.
And she had said further that her parents felt backed into a corner. Take a listen.
They basically convinced my mom and dad that, like, it was going to be a matter of life or death for me if I wasn't allowed to transition medically at a young age. They said, they didn't use this exact phrase, but they gave them the same ultimatum of having basically a suicidal and potentially dead daughter or a living transgender son. Which, I mean, I think that my mom and dad were absolutely coerced into it. I don't blame them for signing off on anything, because these doctors throughout multiple parts of the process really backed them into the corner.
There you go. The doctors backed them into a corner. It's nefarious stuff, in my opinion. And here to talk about that and being a whistleblower about it is Dr. Eithan Haim. And I hope, did I pronounce that correctly, sir? I really appreciate you coming on my coming on my radio show to talk about this issue. It's really heartbreaking, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, of course, it's such a privilege. It's pronounced Eithan Haim. It's a
Haim.
tough name, so
okay.
yeah. But it's it's really. I mean, Chloe Cole's story was one of the first that I heard that had kind of served as a source of inspiration, because I saw this courage in her, and she's this young girl who went through this terrible thing, and then to especially see this database come out about the surgeries in all the different states, but seeing it at a granular level about how much money they're making. What was really it was shocking, but it's you understand why it's happening because there's so much money involved.
So do you really think that that's the case? Like, has the medical profession, have doctors, is that their holy grail now? Is that what they bow down to, is the money and not the standard that we all expect, which is that they do no harm to their patients?
Oh, I would say that without reservation, 100%. It's not even a question anymore. And, it's not that, there of course are doctors or organizations that put money above everything else, but it's I think the greater impact is fear. And it's the fear of speaking out, the fear of being professionally ostracized. And it's that which allows people to become subservient to the ideology, even if they don't believe it. They'll still repeat it. They'll still support it because they're scared. And a combination of that and then convenience, and then I think that has been one of the primary driving factors in medicine, because there's a lot on the line, especially for people who decide to speak out.
So for people who don't know your story so much, I'm just going to read at the beginning. Christopher Rufo has covered your story. In fact, you blew the whistle to him so that he could blow the whistle for you in the more public sphere. And he wrote this in just June of this year. He said, a few years ago, Texas Children's Hospital made no secret of its support for transgender medicine. Its doctors proudly administered puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and other medical interventions to children who self-identified as trans. Then the tone shifted. In the face of public pressure, CEO Mark Wallace announced that he was shutting down the child gender clinic. But doctors at the hospital, including Richard Ogden Roberts, David Paul, and Christy Raylon, never stopped. The public would not have known if not for the courageous surgeon, Eithan Haim, who felt morally obligated to expose the subterfuge. He contacted me about how the hospital had lied about terminating the transgender medicine program, and the doctors were in fact continuing to perform sex change procedures on children as young as 11. The story rocked across the world. The hospital immediately went on the defensive. Within a week, Texas legislators passed a bill confirming that transgender medical procedures for minors were illegal, and then the DOJ came after you.
That they did. If the people listening, I'm sure they can believe it by this point in their life, especially after 4 years of having Biden and Harris, their administration. They're trying to send me to prison for 10 years. I have trial December 2nd, where I'm going to, stand in a courtroom in front of a jury. We're going to have to plead our case. And, of course, we're fighting it, and there's a lot happening. If anyone does want to help donate, it's givesendgo.com/Texas_whistleblower. But, we're fighting this thing till the end because I knew even in the beginning there were risks. But when they showed up in my home, it was about a month after the story came out, I knew exactly what was happening, is that they were targeting me because I had blown the whistle anonymously, right? And if there's other people out there who believe they can do the same thing, then, God knows what can happen. And it shows in our story because the day after our story came out, the Texas Senate passed the ban on these gender interventions in Texas. Like the very next day, it was 24 hours. And it was bipartisan, and it was because our story came out that multiple Democrats voted in favor of it. And then a couple of days later, another whistleblower came out, a nurse who worked in the transgender clinic. And she reached out to Rufo too. And she told her story anonymously. And she also got targeted by the feds. And she told her story the day after my first arraignment in June 2024. She came out publicly because what was happening to me. And she came out with allegations that it was actually worse, that there were intentional insurance billing fraud in the clinic, allegations of it. And it's a totally shocking story, but it goes to show why they came so hard after me, because if I can blow the whistle, other people can. And I knew that when they were coming after me, I had to do the same thing. I had to stand up. I had to fight. I could never give in to them, because if I did, then that would just shut the door on everyone else. So that's where we are right now. It's been a long, long journey, but it's every step, I take forward, we take forward. It's one greater piece of resolve. Like I feel like I only become more resolute because I know there's so much on the line, and there's so many people who are believing in it and who've helped us get to this far in the journey, which is something I couldn't even believe, that we would be able to fight so well, like our legal team, and achieve so much and lead to other whistleblowers coming out and have this law changed. And it's amazing. But
well, you're amazing, and I think that I think the other part of this is that when we talk about you had said, look, it's all about the money. Well, it's all about the money in two different ways, right? If I'm understanding this right, one thing, it's about the money that you may receive for doing the actual treatments, and then obviously if you do go far enough with the treatments, they're going to need continuous medical care throughout their life. There's just no doubt about that. But the other part about it, when you say it's about the money, it's about not rocking the boat. It's about making sure that nobody shuts you down for your ability to practice in any other part of medicine because you don't adhere to this sort of ideological LGBTQ stuff that they don't want anybody to come at them at. They don't want to be, I guess they don't want to be dissed by that community. And so if their doctor's quiet about it, then that's good for them. And so it's not really the money so much for the surgeries, because only a few doctors are making that. It's basically shutting you down. Basically, people don't speak up, other doctors, I'm assuming, because they don't want to lose their livelihood. Is that what's going on? I've actually never thought about it that way. Like that, it's like money works in both directions. Right. I never made that connection. That's actually brilliant, because, it's so true, because like the people who are doing it, of course, there's the incentive of money, right? I think that plays a part, probably more for the hospital administrators and them. I think for the doctors who are doing it themselves, it's more ideological. But on the other side, well, that's scary. All the other doctors silent is the threat of losing everything, because, I'm a testament to it, right? They came after me. We went absolutely broke, and like, I'm still able to work, but like, everything is gone, But it's like, that's nothing compared to the benefits of waking up in the morning and knowing that you can retain your dignity because you're not submitting to these evil forces. That's right. Can you hold on for 2 minutes? We're going to take a quick break, and I'll be right back. Thank you.
Prager here. Join me on an unforgettable cruise to the Caribbean this November. Imagine 9 days basking in the sun, surrounded by the stunning beauty of a tropical paradise. We'll cruise in the vibrant islands of Half Moon Cay, Curacao, Bonaire, Aruba, and more. We'll be joined by special guest Sean McDowell, and we'll both be sharing insights into current events in a way I hope energizes and challenges you. Secure your spot before spaces run out by calling 855-565-5519 or online at pragercruise.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I saw a Balance of Nature commercial. I said, I'm going to try this stuff out. So I got it. I'm going to take those capsules. And I'm going like, oh my goodness. I really truly believe that this stuff is really pretty remarkable.
I love this product. I really do. I think it's fantastic. I tell everybody that I think it's fantastic. So like I said, everything that they say on the TV about it is absolutely true.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds in conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel, home to the biggest shows on TV, like Hugh Hewitt weekdays at 6 a.m. Eastern, followed by Mike Gallagher at 9. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free, now on Xumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Xumo.
You're listening to The Real Story with your host, Jeannie Ives.
And welcome back. The phone number here, 312-642-5600 if you want to weigh in after I finish this interview. I'm talking with Dr. Eithan Haim. He's the general surgeon from the Dallas area that anonymously leaked documents to Christopher Rufo that prove that the Children's Hospital had lied when it promised to get rid of its transgender program. I'm reading from the Daily Express. It's a Dallas paper, the Dallas Express, rather. And that is probably the crux of the reason, your charges, right? 4 charges. They say that you violated HIPAA, but it doesn't. I don't think that's going to hold water, right?
Yeah, and just because the trial's coming up so soon, I
don't want to talk about it.
I have to. Yeah. I just have to. Look at the lawyers for now, just because there's so much going on. But
well, that's okay. I just wanted to know. I wanted my audience to know that was essentially that's what the only thing they could get you on is that they think that you revealed private information. And of course, your lawyer has flat out said that my client is anxious to get to trial to get his side of the story. Marcella Burke said, I'm confident this will result in the correct decision being made. And I happen to know Marcella. She's a great gal. So that's good. No, I mean, actually much more interested in how do we get to this point where doctors think you can change your sex? I mean, it's just so absurd. And by the way, I mean, I feel like, is my son getting indoctrinated in this? He's a first-year medical student.
Yeah, well, the medical schools are absolutely captured. But, I would point people to articles by Andy McCarthy and Ed Whalen in the National Review for like amazing analysis. There were just a few major developments in the case. And so they came out yesterday and I think the day before. But they're brilliant articles, and it really shows that this case against me that's being brought by the Department of Justice in assistance with the FBI is just as absurd, just as baseless as the idea that you can transform and transition a boy into a girl or a girl into a boy. And despite how absurd these ideas are, yes, they are absolutely the baseline assumption, the things to be taught in every single medical school in this country. And it's not only taught as something to be debated, right? This is taught as something to be accepted. And if it's not accepted, the repercussions of that are severe. So, I can tell you 100% that they are definitely pushing down your son. I hope he has the strength to fight against it and to understand that this is obviously wrong. But it's the medical institutions have been severely captured.
That's just scary. And then the other thing about this case, which is interesting, and I understand HIPAA is federal law, and that's essentially kind of where the charges are coming from in general. But I mean, there were no local charges. There were no state charges. There was nobody who thought that you had done any harm. It was Biden's Department of Justice that came down on you. I mean, you're just one surgeon in one hospital in the entire United States, and it feels very targeted. On top of it, it says that the federal agents knocked at your door on the very day you were going to graduate from the Texas Children's Hospital's residency program, which seems planned and purposed full for them, I guess. Is that what happened?
Yeah, I mean, and that's exactly it, because
so dumb.
It was a Baylor College of Medicine, and Texas Children's was a part of it. It was the residency was with Baylor College of Medicine, but
okay,
it's right, because so it was the day you graduate from surgical training is one of the most important days of your life.
For sure.
Because you make so many sacrifices over those 5 years. You're working, an unbelievable amount of time to learn this art, right? Like this skill of doing surgery and operating on people. The day you graduate is a huge deal. So it's no question as to why they chose only a few hours before the ceremony, right before we're about to meet my parents for the ceremony, because they were using the value of my accomplishments, right, as the means to extort my compliance with their investigation, right? They wanted to make sure that, it was at the point of maximum, pressure, because they knew what would be going through my mind is that I can lose everything I've ever worked for. And that was the point of it, right? They had to surveil me. They had to figure out where I lived, figure out what time my graduation was, and the best moment to show up. And but I knew that there was nothing that they could possibly do in the legal system that they can go after me for. And because of that, I knew the whole time there would be no way I could ever, comply, right? I could ever try to plead to something, because what they're going after is a doctor doing the right thing, right? Like blowing the whistle for a hospital that's lying. And if I were to comply with a corrupt investigation, I would just be granting legitimacy to something that is fundamentally illegitimate. So in order to expose their corruption, the only path forward was to fight, right? To push back. And that's exactly what's happening. If you look into those two articles I mentioned.
Yes,
Andy
and I have
McCarthy
one in front
and
of me.
Whalen,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And now at this point that we are talking here right now, the corruption is becoming so completely self-evident that everything I knew all along is being known to the entire world. And this is what has to happen when other people are targeted in the same way. Because every time one of us complies, we make them more powerful. They have to feel a cost when they try to go after an innocent American who did the right thing. They have to know that it's not going to be easy, that person is going to move hell and high water to make sure that they fight back. And that's exactly what we've done, because, my wife and I, even though my wife is a federal prosecutor, she works at the DOJ.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Okay.
which is fine.
Wow.
Yeah, she still works there in the Northern District, Texas, in Dallas. But it was just the two of us, and we didn't have any contacts, or we didn't have any powerful friends or anything, and we lost all of our money, over $200,000 after a few months of trying to fight this legally, anonymously. And there was some point where I knew the corruption coming from the DOJ was so bad that I knew I had to tell the story publicly, that they were going to destroy my life, because that's what they told us. And my attorney sent a letter to Jim Jordan, and Congress outlined the misconduct. People can read it for themselves. So in that way, my attorneys kind of blew the whistle themselves and put themselves at risk. But it's once they told me that, I knew that the only thing to do was tell the story publicly to make tell everyone the truth, and that we would have to fight. And what's happened is that just average people just like me have helped us every step of the way. We raised over $1 million in $500 to $250 donations. Mm-hmm. And that's simply from telling this story and being willing to not give up.
Well, and I highly encourage my listeners to go to your Give, Send, Go page. You can just Google your name and you'll find it, or the Rufo story had a link to it. That's where I found it. That's where I give you a donation to. Listen, this whole story started out as one about the medical, establishment and their kowtowing to the transgender agenda, which is just harmful, especially for minors. And now, lo and behold, it's really one about what this entire election's all about, and that's just the corruption at the DOJ. And we have got to stop this. So, yeah. Last word to you, but I want to thank you for coming on tonight.
Yeah, and it's both stories, right? It's kind of different topics, different subjects, but we know it's corruption, right?
Yes.
But it's like corruption of these institutions, but what it's really is corruption of the human soul.
Yes. All right, we've got to leave it right there. I've got a hard break. Thank you so much for joining me from Dallas. I really appreciate your time tonight, Dr. Eithan Haim, and you can find his Give, Send, Go and donate to him. Thank you so much.
Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago, Saturday, November 2nd at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This year, featuring Dr. Sebastian Gorka, economist Stephen Moore, along with Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Overhead Door, healthinsurancementors.com, Trinity School of Natural Health, and by Blue Star Security.
Fox News, I'm Kathleen Maloney. President Biden surveyed hurricane damage in Florida, thanking local officials and first responders and making this announcement.
Today, I'm proud to announce $612 million to 6 new cutting-edge projects to support communities impacted by Hurricane Helene and Milton.
The money will help restore power and make systems stronger. Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas says FEMA has enough money to fund the immediate needs of hurricane victims, but tells CBS's Face the Nation.
We need Congress to act swiftly to fund FEMA and specifically its Disaster Relief Fund, because hurricane season is not over.
Congress not planning to come back to D.C. until after the election. America is listening to Fox News.
Fall is here, and you're at work. That's okay. Now you can make work delicious and rake in the deals with delicious fall savings from EasyCater, the top site for ordering food for work from your team's favorite restaurants. Save up to $40 when you order from select restaurants, exclusively on EasyCater.com. A great way to make your team and your food budget happy. Order now at EasyCater.com. Orders must be placed and received between October 7th and the 18th. Restrictions apply. See all for details.
Your pet isn't just a pet, they're part of your family. Most of the pet food on the market is cooked at high temperatures, which kills nutrients. A scoop of Dynovite is a 3-in-1 daily supplement, adding back key nutrients to your pup's health. Try Dynovite for free. Just pay shipping and handling. Learn more at dinovite.com/radio. That's dinovite.com/radio.
Happier, healthier with every bite. Over 1 million pets helped with Dynovite.
Chicagoland certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns discusses taxes in retirement.
Most people are paying more in taxes and keeping less of their money to live and do what they enjoy. That's why we've put out the retirement tax bill calculator online. You can see with your own eyes just how much you might be overpaying. It's a valuable tool, $500 value, but we made it free for you to view and run your own numbers at MVPCFP.com. That's MVPCFP.com.
To run your retirement tax bill calculator, go to MVPCFP.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC.
As a local business owner, you get called every week by marketing companies. We get it. We have hundreds of satisfied customers. Here's what a satisfied client recently said.
Open enrollment is going great. We're hitting record numbers. Thank you so much for this report. It really is amazing to see how the marketing is really shaping our enrollment around the city.
If you're a local business and ready for the next step, visit surroundchicago.com right now. Our experts are ready to help you take your marketing to the next level. Visit surroundchicago.com today.
It's reveille. After 3.5 years of open borders with poor, uneducated masses pouring across our borders and billions of American taxpayer money spent to support them, everybody should be questioning the Biden-Harris administration's fealty to taking care of Americans first. Now comes another example of the Biden-Harris misguided priorities in their inadequate response to Americans affected by Hurricane Helene. The stories pouring out of the hurricane-stricken parts of North Carolina, Tennessee, and Georgia should outrage all of us over the feeble federal response to our citizens who have lost everything. It took Biden-Harris 6 days before announcing that members of the 82nd Airborne would be directed to help with disaster relief, despite the military's unique ability to deploy rapidly and conduct rescue and support operations in difficult situations. And despite Fort Liberty being just a couple hundred miles away from the objective instead of an ocean away. In another example of the tone deafness of the Biden-Harris administration, they announced $20 million in immediate relief would be sent to those affected by the hurricane, and the next day announced 8 times as much, $157 million, would be sent to the Lebanese people displaced by the shelling of their own country. Even worse, FEMA officials supposedly used funds for migrant care and have insufficient reserves for Americans now in need. But for numerous neighbors helping neighbors and manpower and supplies coming from faraway states to the hard-hit mountains, there is little doubt that even more lives would have been lost and more suffering incurred. The generous American spirit lives on. Our people have proven once again that when the government fails to act and plan, the American people will step up to help their fellow man. We're fortunate that we have so many assets in private hands instead of having complete reliance on the government. I'm Jeannie Ives. To learn more, listen to my radio show on Sunday from 7 to 9 p.m. and sign up for my newsletter at breakthrough-ideas.com.
We now return to the real story. Here's your host, Jeannie Ives.
Okay. You know that music. That's the Watchdog music. And we've got one of the 2 Watchdogs here tonight with me. John Kraft, welcome to the program. Thanks for joining me tonight on this Sunday night. And by the way, callers, the phone number here, 312-642-5600. We should have a little bit of time at the end of the show to take your calls. But John, here we go again. I mean, why does it just seem so constant that there's always something happening in Shelby County?
Good question.
What's with that county? I don't get it. I mean, I know people there. They're good people, but man.
It just keeps going, like the little Energizer bunny that never runs out of power.
I mean, you could take all the cases from Shelby County, and actually, I sat down with somebody to do this. We sat down together when I was a state rep with the Watchdogs, and you basically said, hey, look, based off all the work that we've done, we need 10 bills that do this, that, and the other thing. And a lot of them came from, like, I think they were Shelby County bills, honestly.
Yeah, and well, unfortunately, this one deals with the courts, and I think some of the issues we're talking about tonight in various parts of the state deal with the courts. This one deals with the current court filing by a resident against the Shelby County Board and the chairman for wanting to sell the county farm. They can't lease it without a public purpose that complies with the Constitution.
Right.
So they voted to sell it, and it's a simple majority that's required to sell it. But a resident filed a complaint to stop the sale and prohibit the county board from voting or opening a bids. And thanks to the new state's attorney, she just caved and acquiesced to the temporary restraining order, agreed with everything that his attorney said, and never even talked to the county board to see what they wanted to do. Just went in there and said, yeah, well, we'll take the restraining order. Don't worry about it. But this one, within the arguments, was the plaintiff's attorney was trying to keep the county board chairman's private attorney that he was paying for out of his own pocket from representing him in the court, by saying that, only the state's attorney can represent an elected county official. This is the same law firm that argued the opposite when he was being sued for representing the county when he wasn't appointed by the court or the state's attorney. He basically misrepresented that case to the court. He told the court that, the court's appointed me in that case. Well, no, that never happened. The affidavit that he had the former state attorney sign in that case, saying that she appointed him, conflicts with the county board minutes where the county board appointed him to represent the county in union negotiations. So it's good for him, not good for other people that go up against him. We believe there are false representations in the court, but
So is this lawyer like a big deal in Shelby County? He kind of gets his way. Is that the deal? He's just super connected, and so the courts are bowing to him. Is there a political bent on this? Are they politically aligned, the state's attorney and this lawyer, for example?
He typically does a lot of union negotiation representations
they make money off of that one. That's good
with
work.
Local government.
Yes.
But the problems Shelby County is having with their union contracts is just unbelievable.
Wow.
How they can say that was proper representation to begin with, and even in that case, the appointed attorney from Jasper County, I believe, to represent the county board, just acquiesced to this guy's side of the story and said, the county board said, we need to pay you. So the judge ordered him to be paid. But that state's attorney had hired his own private counsel before the law authorized him to hire him.
So this is the same state's attorney, though, that you have spoke about before, and it appears that she wasn't really qualified for the position to begin with.
No, I don't think she is, and it's evident if you go into a courtroom and watch and listen, it's evident.
Yeah, so it's another one of those, be careful who you vote for. It's like DuPage County, where they put a lawyer who had no accounting background whatsoever. They put him in as the county auditor. And for 3.5 years, he failed to do state mandated audits for 3.5 years because he's a lawyer and he doesn't even know what he's doing. But, the Democrats, they don't care about competence. It doesn't matter to them. Competence is the last thing that they vote on. If you got a DF to your name, you're going to be just fine with them.
And unfortunately, she's the only one on the ballot.
Of course. So there's nobody running against her because it's a small community. It takes a lot of effort to run a campaign, to raise the money even, just to do the work. And, so people get frustrated and they give up and they don't run when they should. Or they can make more money on the outside, and they rather do that than do public service. So, yeah.
Yeah, but you get what you vote for. It happens time and time again, especially, in Dalton and Thornton Township.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back with another story that you have for us. Thanks a lot for joining us, John. We'll be right back. This is The Real Story with Jeannie Ives.
Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago, Saturday, November 2nd at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This year, featuring Dr. Sebastian Gorka, economist Stephen Moore, along with Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by JeffBuysYourHouse.com, Papa Nicholas Coffee, the Alpha Wealth Group, Willows Academy, and by Senior Helpers of Naperville.
If your approach to everyday aches and pains is to mask them, feel better for a few hours only to have the pain return and then repeat the cycle all over again, it's time to try Relief Factor. And the good news is Relief Factor makes that easy. Their 3-week quick start is just $19.95, less than $1 a day. Instead of masking pain, Relief Factor helps eliminate it. How? Well, its unique formula of ingredients helps support your body's response to inflammation. Relief Factor was developed by doctors. It's 100% drug-free, and for so many people, the results are game-changing. even life-changing. So give it a try. Right now, their 3-week quick start is just $19.95. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4RELIEF. See how in a few weeks or even days, Relief Factor can reduce your pain. When you feel better, life is just better. So don't mask pain. Fight it naturally with Relief Factor.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
My husband's a retired cop, and I worked in a hospital for years. I'm going out right now because I'm getting ready to paint my fence. It's just literally amazing. And, you watch the TV articles and you go, yeah. Well, at least it's 100% returnable if it doesn't work. I'm not kidding you. It is the most amazing product I've ever taken.
I love it. I love the product. And not only the product, the people that work for them, too, are really nice. That's another plus. It's the best product on the market.
I think it's a good product, so that's the reason I'll continue to take it.
It's a wonderful product. I'm trying to get as many people as I can to take it.
Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
I'm Seth Leibson for townhall.com. Before he wrote his classic novel, 1984, George Orwell wrote an essay where he put it that political speech was increasingly becoming distorted so as to defend the indefensible, and used to support that which, in its clear and obvious meaning, would never be supported. We see this everywhere now. Killing an unborn child today is reproductive rights. The effort to change a person's sex is labeled gender affirmation. Violence is mostly peaceful. Peaceful and patriotic marching is insurrection, and freedom of speech is purportedly protected by disinformation governance boards. Once you take away the ordinary meaning of things, once you distort clear language or a phrase for its opposite, Orwell warned, you can convince people of things that they would otherwise never support. That's why an unborn child became a fetus, after all. Orwell opened his famous novel instructing that war is peace and slavery is freedom. It's all around us now, which is why we have a saying here, MOFA, make Orwell fiction again.
You're listening to The Real Story with your host, Jeannie Ives.
Oh my gosh, John, I just read your article about what we're going to talk about. I've had a busy show. And so I kind of leave it up to you guys to help me, muddle my way through these segments because I know you know your stuff. But Hutton Township, what a disaster. Oh my, I mean, this story is hysterical. I mean, why aren't they just hiring you to be the lawyer so that you can keep everything straight? But you should go through this point by point because, folks, wake up. There's so much non-compliance with the law. It's not even funny, which is why good people have to get elected at the local level. And people just in general need to be paying attention to what the hell's happening. John, go ahead. Just give people the overview about what happened and then go into the specifics of everything you found wrong at one township meeting that you just happened to show up for.
Well, yeah, we showed up to this meeting
it's so bad.
with our cameras, of course, because we show up to meetings with cameras.
Yeah.
And we were told that this meeting was a lot better than any other meetings they've had in a long time. So we found that the agenda wasn't posted outside the building to let people know that there was actually going to have a meeting or what was on the meeting agenda. When we got there, the supervisor or the clerk, somebody told a resident that here's your copy of your FOIA request. It's 54 pages. You got to pay us 20 cents a page. And immediately we knew that was wrong because the first 50 pages are free and it's only 15 cents a page that they can charge. So they ended up not charging her anything.
But you had to step in. You saw what was going on and you stepped up and you said something to them right there on the spot.
Right there on the spot, and that was before the meeting started. Then they were talking about bids for a new township building, $180,000 a grant from ARPA. Well, donate.
Oh, yes, they're still giving out ARPA funds, folks. Still giving out ARPA funds. Yes, go ahead. Yeah. That's the American Rescue Plan.
$180,000 to the township to build a township building. They haven't had one in decades.
Okay.
So they were talking about bids, but
wait a minute. So COVID money's going to be used to build a township building?
Of course.
Yeah, that doesn't sound COVID related to me, but whatever. Go ahead.
Well, when they initially gave the money, there was all kinds of restrictions, and then when they figured out nobody could spend it, they just opened it up for basically anything.
Yeah, it's just total BS.
So they weren't really bidding the project out. They were soliciting,
quotes,
piecemealed out, and even the quotes that they got weren't even matching. It's just some of them didn't have AC and heat or electric. Some of them didn't have concrete floor. I mean, it's just all over the place. But these guys are going to spend $180,000. I think we convinced them that they need to bid it out because it's federal money and it has to comply with federal law in order to spend it. And bidding is one of those requirements over a certain threshold.
So did you?
Then we found.
I mean, how did you find that out? They were talking about it. Did you interrupt in the meeting and correct them, or how did that work?
Kirk might have said something towards the end of the meeting or during I think he said something during public comment.
Okay.
And the reason we showed up was because we found out from attending a different meeting of a county. The Coles County highway engineer spoke at a meeting in Coles County about giving this township had a grant to pay for full replacement of the bridge, 100% no cost to the township. Township supervisor didn't really want it because he had property on that road, and if there's no bridge, it cuts down all the traffic.
You're kidding me.
No. So he claims it was because they would have to spend money to put, rock and gravel to upkeep the road going to the bridge. Now it's been out so long they haven't upkept the road. But down here we're still in gravel roads and things like that. We don't pave everything like they do up where you guys live. But yeah, and in the meantime, a resident objected to the supervisor not wanting the bridge, but it's not really the supervisor's call. And he said something like, "We'll be glad when we can replace you." And the supervisor said, well, you can just replace me now. I'll resign after this meeting.
And You're kidding.
And then the clerk resigned right after him. They're related, him and the clerk.
He and the clerk are related, of course. Yeah, of course.
I think it's either his daughter or his daughter-in-law. I can't.
Oh my gosh, all in the family again.
But the county engineer is the one that or the township road district is the party that can say yay or nay, along with the county engineer, on replacing the bridge. And the road commissioner wants the bridge, and it's going to be put in. So that's the short version of that story, or the long version.
Good grief. So this is Hutton Township in Coles County, folks.
Yeah,
and I mean, look, we're not, John and Kirk aren't picking on them. They just happen to get tips. And so they go and investigate and they find out all these things. They're charging too much for a FOIA pickup. They're violating the Open Meetings Act. They don't have their agenda posted the right way. And then they have this whole issue of not taking proper bids for wanting to spend $180,000 of COVID money. It's just, oh my gosh. You guys do such a good service to the Illinois folks. Thank you so much.
We try. Sometimes all we have to do is show up and they fix things.
It shouldn't have to be that way. It shouldn't.
I know.
All right. Hey, thanks a lot for joining me tonight. We will talk to you next week, and have a good rest of your night.
All right. Thank you.
You bet. And we'll be right back with the real story. I want to talk about my school district's referendum, and we'll take this call from Jeannie.
Building owners, property managers, and chief engineers. This one's for you.
Hello, this is Bruce Diedrich with Waukegan Roofing, your professional roofer. Everything starts on top. Your investment, your building, and everything in it is protected by your roof. It needs to be in good shape. That's where we can help. If it needs to be repaired or replaced, or you think it might, Call us. Let's find out. Here's the number.
847-623-1625.
At Waukegan Roofing, our employees are union-trained roofing professionals with OSHA safety training certifications and have thorough knowledge and expertise regarding the various roofing systems we sell, maintain, and install. We know commercial roofing systems because that's all we do. Over 110 years of doing commercial roofs. Waukegan Roofing has the slogan,
Roofs you can rely on.
because you can. Here's the number to call.
847-623-1625.
And get the info at waukeganroofing.com. waukeganroofing.com.
How would you define your relationship with sleep? Are there challenges, trouble falling asleep or staying asleep? Here's the thing about sleep. It's the foundation of whole body health. Good sleep is both mental and physical, and our daily performance depends on it. So how do you get to your dream state? 3 words. Beam's Dream Powder, a science-backed, healthy hot cocoa for sleep. This product will single-handedly change the way you sleep for the better. Text Beam to 717-767. That's BEAM to 717-767 for up to 40% off. Other sleep aids can cause next-day grogginess, but Dream is an all-natural blend of ingredients like magnesium and melatonin to help you fall asleep, stay asleep, and wake up refreshed. And for a limited time, you can get a special discount on Beam's Dream Powder, their science-backed healthy hot cocoa for sleep with no added sugar. Text BEAM to 717-767 for up to 40% off. That's BEAM to 717-767.
Now, more of The Real Story with your host, Jeannie Ives.
All right. Welcome back. So we're going to take this call quick. It's Janie. And Janie, want to tell you, welcome to the program. Thanks for calling in.
Hi, thank you so much. I appreciate all the work you do. And I was calling because I heard the other guest you had in Texas, and I do understand that Chicago Public School System has a relationship with Lurie's Children's Hospital, and I wasn't sure if that's still the case, if that is carried on. But I do know from my work working in classrooms in the Chicago Public Schools that a social worker told me that they're not obligated to tell parents about the treatment for the students. And my real question is, how do these students get this treatment? Are they taken by staff to the hospital? Do staff members from the hospital come to the schools? I find it very disconcerting, and especially because I can see it with my own eyes, and it's not really publicly known. I'm very concerned about the future of children and the parents not being included.
Yeah, Janie, thanks a lot for the phone call. I really appreciate it. So a couple things here. Yes, Lurie's Children's Hospital has a relationship with Chicago Public School Systems in that they actually have folks that go in and they teach a lot of different transgender ideology in the CPS. And so from what I understand, it's just teaching. But the problem here is that these schools, Illinois is making their schools into all sorts of, psychology centers, healthcare centers, treating the whole kid, social emotional learning is looked at. And so who knows, the more that you have nurses and other practitioners in there, who knows what they're actually doing with children. And it is the official policy of the Illinois State Board of Education that you as a school districts in the state can socially transition children behind a parent's back without letting them know. And in fact, my own school district, Wheaton-Warrenville School District, has adopted such a policy. And that's why I'm all over their butt about their referendum as well. They should get nothing. They should get no more money until they get rid of that policy. But that is definitely happening. Now, you cannot give hormonal treatment in the state of Illinois right now without a parental permission to a minor. You cannot do that without parental permission. But who knows? I mean, I heard stories before that they were giving COVID shots without the parents knowing as well. So, we need a whistleblower in CPS to talk about everything going on. But Janie, again, thanks a lot for your phone call. I don't have a clear answer for you, but I'll look for one.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Hey, back to my school district, by the way. I mean, honestly, they're trying to pass this massive referendum, $151.5 million. It's really $210 million if you, in include the interest charge, and that's with 15-year bonds. It's $236 million if it's 20-year bonds, and in doing so, they're just absolutely lying about what the referendum's all about. It's 100% lie. I did a Facebook Live on it. I encourage people to go ahead and listen to that. But their signs literally say, modernize our schools, lower your taxes. So they're saying if you vote for this referendum, we're going to lower your taxes. That is the biggest, fattest, illogical lie ever. If that's the case, don't ask for $151 million. Ask for $600 million. Lower them really well. Anyway, I'm out of time tonight. Thanks so much for joining me on The Real Story. We'll see you next week.
Attention parents, your child may be eligible for extra food benefits this summer thanks to a new program. The Summer EBT program will provide $120 per eligible child for families to buy groceries